Hello everybody, I'm Dan Murrell here with my review of Hamnet. Now, if you haven't heard of Hamnet, you will soon because it's currently considered a leading contender in multiple Oscar categories, including Best Picture, Director, Actress, Supporting Actor, Adapted Screenplay, and more. It also won the People's Choice Prize, the top award at the Toronto International Film Festival, and Toronto has a history of predicting Oscar contenders. Every winner of that award since 2012, except for last year's winner, The Life of Chuck, which seems unlikely to get nominated this year, has gone on to be nominated for or win Best Picture. Hamnet opened this week in limited release and will likely roll out more over the coming weeks as award season continues to ramp up. Hamnet is the latest film from director Chloe Zhao, her first since dipping her toe into blockbuster territory with Marvel's Eternals a few years ago. The film is adapted from Maggie O'Farrell's 2020 novel of the same name and is a fictionalized take on how William and Agnes Shakespeare, which is spelled Agnes but pronounced in, I assume, the Old English way, Agnes in this movie, deal with a tragedy in their family. The opening text on screen informs us that Hamnet, which is their son's name, and Hamlet, which is of course a Shakespeare play's name, were used interchangeably at that time in England, and part of the film does focus on how William Shakespeare channels his grief into what may be his most famous work. The screenplay was written by O'Farrell, adapting her own book, along with Chloe Zhao. While many other films may have put their focus on William Shakespeare when telling this story, Hamnet focuses more on Agnes. Jessie Buckley, who plays Agnes, is considered a strong contender for Best Actress, while Paul Mescal, who plays Shakespeare, is up for Best Supporting Actor. While I think they're closer to co-leads when it comes to screen time, Agnes is clearly the main character in the film, and Buckley's performance is incredible. Agnes is a fascinating woman outside of just her grief, raised on the fringes of society and with a strong belief in the power and healing properties of nature. And when faced with a world-shattering tragedy and a husband who spends most of his time away, being, William Shakespeare, she begins to lose her grasp on everything that she loves. It is a gut-wrenching portrayal. And for those of us like me who felt that Buckley should have been nominated for an Oscar several years ago for Wild Rose, it will be nice to see her get some Academy recognition in the lead actress category after getting a nomination for Best Supporting Actress. I've seen some criticisms that Paul Mescal is just doing what we've seen him do before in this movie, namely crying and being in a lot of pain. But I think that's a little bit too dismissive of his talent as an actor. I mean, he may be drawn to these types of roles, but his performances, in my opinion, are not one note. And his Shakespeare is an ambitious man who also feels the crushing guilt of being away from his family so much and realizing that his absence may not be worth the acclaim that he's received. He is the textbook tortured artist with no other choice but to create. But the movie isn't about his work as much as it's about the cost of creating that work and how he reckons with that cost. Hamnet is also full of outstanding supporting performances, but the one that I want to single out the most is Jacoby Jupe, who plays Hamnet, a young boy who's almost psychically attached to his twin sister Judith. Agnes believes in omens and visions, and when she believes that Judith is in danger, Hamnet also stands in to protect his sister. Jupe's performance is naturalistic, which is not always an easy feat for an 11 or 12-year-old actor, and it's also very critical. He gives Hamnet this spirit of playfulness and love for his family that we need as an audience to invest our emotions into the movie. And I think that he does a really, really good job. His older brother, Noah Jupe, who really impressed me with his breakout performance in Honey Boy several years ago, and who played John Krasinski and Emily Blunt's son in A Quiet Place Part 1 and Part 2, also has a vital role in one of the most impressive one-scene performances that I can remember from a movie. I don't know if it's going to be enough to gain awards recognition alongside his brother, but it is an absolutely crucial part, and I think he acted that part superbly. The performances for me are easily the biggest standout element of Hamnet. Everyone is executed almost to perfection. It's also a beautiful film with cinematography from Łukasz Joel, who has delivered some outstanding work in 2018's Cold War and The Zone of Interest a couple years ago. Nature plays such an important part in this film, and the cinematography is able to convey both the lushness of nature and also sometimes its harsh reality. I think that as a cinematographer, he's particularly skilled at using natural light, and if not, making each scene feel like it's lit by natural light, which keeps us in the reality of the movie. The score from composer Max Richter is also one of my favorites of the year. However, The movie reminded me in many ways of Bohemian Rhapsody, which might sound weird, but allow me to explain. One of the reasons that I think Bohemian Rhapsody was so popular was because it ended with that big Live Aid concert. It was such a well-done sequence that that's what stuck in the audience's mind, myself included, and maybe excused some of the other things in the movie that weren't as strong. In the case of Bohemian Rhapsody, that included some dodgy editing and some very on-the-nose writing. Now, I think that Hamnet is better generally than Bohemian Rhapsody, but at times during the movie, the Shakespeare references did get a little too on the nose. Some of them were sort of eye-roll worthy. And while the performances are great, I think a lot of the movie is good, not great. However, the last 15 minutes of Hamnet are an absolute knockout. The movie gracefully ties everything together, and it ends on such a poignant, hopeful, heartbreaking, perfect note. It went from a movie that I admired for its craft and its performances to a movie that actively had me in tears, which doesn't happen that often. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, I think the impact of those last 15 minutes is what audiences are going to walk away remembering the most. It's maybe the most effective ending to a movie I've seen this year, but I don't necessarily think the entire movie works on that same level. There are others I've seen that I think are more consistent throughout their runtime. For example, I thought that Hamnet sometimes got caught repeating maybe some of the same beats in the middle, but then it just sucker punched me at the end. So it's going to be interesting when I sit down to pick my favorite movies of the year to see where this ranks. However, it does contain, without a doubt, some of my favorite performances of the year, which I believe deserve all the praise they're getting. If I was just rating the ending and the actors, this would be a high-tier See It Now movie, but taking everything into consideration, Hamnet still gets an upper-tier It's Good rating, with the asterisk that I think it has a lot of must-see elements, and if you're going to be following awards season, you absolutely must see this film. So those are my thoughts on Hamnet. It may be in a theater near you, but more likely it will be coming to a theater near you in the coming weeks. If you're planning to see it or if you've already seen it, let me know down in the comments below. And as always, thank you so much for watching this review here on the channel. Coming up on Monday morning, I have another review of an awards season hopeful, Marty Supreme, so you can look out for that, as well as box office updates, reviews of the latest releases and awards films, so much more. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up on this video, hit the bell so you know when I upload a new video. But most of all, thanks for spending your time with this video. Until next time, stay safe, and I'll see you then. Bye.